2-2 it would finish. Obviously mentioned that there were changes to the 11 from Enzo Maresca tonight. Frank had his eye on this game. Is it defensive errors, Frank, costing the side today, costing Chelsea?
Not only. I feel some sympathy about the young Hato and the fact that he made two big mistakes, allowed Qarabag to score goals. But that wasn't only that, you know. First, yeah, it's nice to rotate. It's nice to give some rest to some players, but you have to make sure that you can be able to win, you know, in Azerbaijan, and it's what Chelsea weren't able to do today. They played well for the first 10-15 minutes, and I say, okay, that's great. You know, it's going to be an easy game. They scored a goal, good goal from Estevao, and after that I didn't see the difference between an Azerbaijan team and Chelsea Football Club. So I feel frustrated, and when the second half they changed some player, it was a little bit better, but still Qarabag has some chances. So let's say that the player weren't convinced that it was a important game to play. A draw was enough for them maybe to get through in that Champions League campaign, but I wasn't convinced by anything today.
Is a draw a fair result? Is it the right result for you, Gab, or did Chelsea actually get away with a draw in the end, considering how Qarabag played tonight?
I think arguably they got away with it, and I think that's what's going to disappoint Enzo Maresca, because, you know, when I take on board what Frank said, it felt like, you know, they felt, well, we don't really need to worry about this, it's only Qarabag or whatever. Well, leaving aside that Qarabag are doing more than okay in the Champions League, for me, it was a lot of those individual players who I think just had poor nights. So it's not just Hato, it's Tosin at the back. And when you think, you know, those center back positions right now at Chelsea, they don't really have an established partnership. So those roles are pretty much up for grabs. And it's in games like this where you can seize the opportunity, especially if like Hato, who of course he's also the backup left back, but he hasn't played that much. Tosin, you know, show Maresca that, you know, you should be first choice until Colo comes back. Up front, same thing, Tyreek George, who I think has done well, but some players don't cope well when, you know, they only play once in a while, and sometimes he's wide, sometimes he's up front. That's the frustrating thing, and that's the flip side, I think, of managing a big squad, especially of younger players. You'll have games like this when the people who come in don't seize the opportunity. Maybe some of the regulars, you know, maybe, I don't want to say take the night off, but maybe aren't as intense as they usually are. And then you pay a price for it. And then you got to rely on St. Moises Caicedo to come and bail you out for the umpteenth time. Would you like to say anything about this game, guys?
No.
What about, you're not going to stick up for Qarabag, your most favorite team?
Power ranking featured.
I was focusing on, I was solely focusing on another game that we get to in a bit.
That's fair enough. It was watching
Who's that? Because at the same time it was Papo Villarreal.
He was. Wait till you hear him on the highlights.
Yes. We're going to bring it.
Big Papo's fan.
Yeah. I thought it was Qarabag.
Frank, would you like to add anything else about Chelsea today?
Oh, me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, me?
Yes.
No. Well, now again, I want to think about Hato, and I know how dramatic and traumatic it could be to have a kind of game like that, and I really hope that guy is going to step up, and his teammates will cheer him up to make sure that he can carry on and have a great career. It's never good to start like that way, and people have seen that, so you want to find some recomfort, I would say, from everybody. He has mine, because he can make mistakes and he has to carry on, but that was an off night. That wasn't a good night. That wasn't a good game away from home against the so-called best club in the world. but really, I was very disappointed by the team today.
Hi Enzo, I just wanted to ask you about the match really, because you made a lot of changes, 7 changes before the match, and a lot of people are talking about the changes you've made in recent times. Are you still happy with the amount of changes you made after the match, or do you think there's any regrets there?
No, the intention is always, you know, when we make changes, is because the intention is always because we think that the plan with the players that they start the game is the correct one. I think today I don't have the feeling that it's about, you know, rotate player. It's more because we start in the right way, we score the goal, and then again we concede 2 goals, especially the first one with 10 players. They were with 10 players. So for me the big difference today has been especially inside the box. In our box we concede 2 goals that we can avoid, and in their box, for the amount of times that we arrive there, probably we need to be a little bit more clinical.
Can I just ask if you could explain a little bit more why you keep making a lot of changes, because it's 7 changes, and I think for the last 5 games you've made 7 or more changes, so could you explain that, and does the Club World Cup have anything to do with it, and sort of the workload that you've had?
Yeah, I think I tried to explain already many times. We have player. The intention tonight was to rest Enzo, to rest Moi, to rest Malo, to rest more players, because they are not able to play every 3 days. They didn't recover from last season. As you said, the Club World Cup affect a lot. And we try to do, you know, we try to rotate when you win. No one mentioned about that. I know that when we don't win, everyone is, you know, focused on that. But now I think it's important to recover energy for Saturday and go again.
Hi Enzo. Hello.
Hi.
Can I just ask about Romeo Lavia's fitness? Obviously he went off very early as well, which must be incredibly frustrating for him and for you.
Yeah, we feel very shame, especially for him, because he's not able, you know, to be fit for a long period. We see now it's too early to understand what kind of injury. Hopefully, it's not a big injury.
Was it a hamstring injury again?
No, I think it's quad in front. Yeah.
And can I just ask? You've got a lot of knocks, as you explained. Are you hoping for more from the players that are stepping in when you are rotating? I think, not to single him out, but Jorrel Hato had a difficult night tonight. But it wasn't, you know, there are performances across the pitch. Would you like more from those who are stepping in to just ease that burden when you are making the changes?
But it's not about, I think it's about all of them, you know. I think we start in the right way. We were in control of the game, we scored the goal. And then when we conceded the first goal, after 4 or 5 minutes, I don't remember, we conceded the second one. So it became every time more difficult. Second half, I think we were much better compared to the first half. But again, every game, I think it's a chance for all of them to show the reason why they are here.
Salam verirəm cənab Maresca'nı. Qarabağ haqqında nə deyə bilər? Qarabağ gözlədiyi Qarabağı demir. Bir daha təkrarlayım. Qarabağ gözlədiyi Qarabağı demir. Yəni Qarabağ onu bir məşqçi olaraq və komandasını nə ilə təəccübləndirdi?
No, yeah, I watch especially the Champions League game that Qarabag play. 2 of them they won. Also the one away against Bilbao that they were winning. They are a good team. I said already days ago they are a good team. They are doing well, and especially here at home, it's difficult.
Enzo, in the Champions League, in the Premier League, and all the cups combined, there have been 8 goals that have been conceded through errors. Today was the 3rd in the Champions League, which puts Chelsea joint first for errors leading to goals. Is it because it's a young side, or something else is going wrong in terms of the game plan on the pitch?
No, I think I said before, the big difference today for me was inside the box. The goal we concede, they are silly goals for me. In their box, for the amount of times that we arrive, we have not been clinical enough. So this is the big difference for me.
Maça tekrar başlasa Sayın Maresca, Signor Maresca, maça tekrar başlasa aynı 11 ile mi başlardı? Enzo, Garnacho, Delap gibi isimlerle. Bir de Qarabağ tribünleri için ne söyleyecek? Bir ara ben saatime baktım maçı anlatırken 100 desibeli gösterdi. Taraftarla ilgili neler söyleyecek? Teşekkür ederim.
Again, when you start a game, the intention is always because you are sure that the ones that they start the game, they are able to do the right things. Now, when you don't win, I can understand that it's always, but I think Garnacho he has done well second half. We give Gittens chance. Is slowly improving. And then about the fans and the environment, I just said that the environment was a nice environment.
And so my question actually is about your rotations. I know you have to rotate, but how about playing Hato, who would normally play as on the wings? Today he played as like center back, and he didn't feel confident. You know what I mean? And also João Pedro as number 10. Because you also had 3 center backs on the bench.
Yeah, no. I think Jorrel, like the team, start very good. We were winning the game. We were in control. Then we start to do some mistake that we need to improve and we need to avoid. And for sure, in the future, we're gonna avoid that. And then Joao, I think, was very good.
Second question. 1 second. We're gonna. Oyunda uğurlar arzu edirəm. Oyundan əvvəl desteklər ki, bu oyun hesabı 2-2 olacaq. Maresca necə reaksiya göstərərdi? İnanardı mı?
No, yeah, for sure, but no one of us think that we come here and win the game in an easy way. We drew the game 2-2. Again, we take the point, we go home, we try to recover the energy and try to go on Saturday again.
Ben tekrar özür diliyorum. Biraz önce ikinci sorumun cevabını alamadım. Herhalde arada kaynadı, kusura bakmayın. Maçı anlatırken bir ara saatimde 100 desibeli gösteriyordu tribünler. Qarabağ tribünleri için, Qarabağ taraftarları için neler söyleyecek? Teşekkür ederim.
Again, I just said already 3 times in this press conference that the environment and the supporters, they were very good. What do you want me to say? Again, the same question. I just said very good environment and very good supporters.
Okay, final question. Gentleman at the front here. Hello, please. Can you stop texting, please?
TRT Spor Serdar Kelleci. Premier Lig'de de Chelsea'nin özellikle topa sahip olduğunda kısır bir futbolunu izliyoruz. Bunu çözmek için ilerleyen zamanda ne yapmayı planlıyor Maresca?
I don't see Chelsea problem on the ball possession. I think Qarabag press well, but we also had many chances in the way we try to build. So I think there are things that we can do better, but overall I think we also have done some good things. Thank you.
Right then, Blues fans, let's talk about what happened in Baku last night. Chelsea travelled nearly 3,000 miles to Azerbaijan and came away with a point that quite frankly feels more like 2 dropped than 1 gained. A 2-2 draw against Qarabag, and if you're sat there thinking that sounds disappointing, you'd be absolutely spot on. Now, look, we all understand why Enzo Maresca rotated the squad. It's a massive journey. We've got the Premier League to think about, and player welfare matters. But here's the thing, when you make that many changes to your starting 11, you've got to make absolutely certain the lads coming in can get the job done. And last night in Azerbaijan? Well, it's fair to say some of them weren't quite at the races. Before we dive deeper into what went wrong, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do us a favour and hit that subscribe button now. We're bringing you honest Chelsea analysis after every match, and we need proper Blues fans like you in the community. Right, let's get back to it. The match started brilliantly, didn't it? Esteval, what a talent this kid is. cut inside beautifully and slotted home in the 17th minute. Job done, get on the bus, 3 points in the bag. Except football doesn't work like that, especially when you've made wholesale changes and asked young players to step up in unfamiliar surroundings. Within minutes, Qarabag were level, and suddenly this routine win we all expected had turned into a proper scrap. Now, we need to talk about Jorrel Hato. The 9-year-old Dutch defender had an absolute nightmare, and there's no point sugarcoating it. He was at fault for Qarabag's equaliser, losing possession carelessly on the edge of his own box, and then conceded a penalty for handball just before half-time. 2 goals, both directly down to individual errors from the same player. That's tough viewing for any Chelsea fan. And you've got to feel for the lad because he's clearly talented. That's why we signed him from Ajax for £35 million. But last night was a baptism of fire he'll want to forget quickly. Here's where it gets interesting, though. This wasn't just about one defender having a shocker. The entire defensive unit looked disjointed. Tosin Adarabioyo struggled alongside Hato, and suddenly you're reminded why Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwill are Maresca's preferred partnership. When you rotate that much at the back, you lose the understanding, the communication, the little bits of chemistry that stop mistakes from becoming goals. And against a Qarabag side that's actually been one of the surprise packages of this Champions League campaign, they've now got 7 points from 4 matches. Those mistakes get punished. Fair play to Maresca for making changes at half-time. Enzo Fernandez, Liam Delap, and Alejandro Garnacho all came on, and within minutes of the restart, Garnacho had us level. The Argentine substitute tried to find Delap with a clever pass. It came back to him, and he drove into the box before finishing low past the keeper. Brilliant impact from the bench, and suddenly we looked like we might nick all 3 points after all. But here's the frustrating bit. We couldn't find that winner. Despite dominating possession, despite creating chances, despite bringing on our big guns, we just couldn't break them down again. Moises Caicedo, who came on early after Romeo Lavia pulled up injured yet again, poor lad can't catch a break, did everything he could in midfield. But without Cole Palmer orchestrating things, without that cutting edge we've got used to this season, we just looked a bit toothless going forward. And this is where the rotation debate gets really interesting. Yes, player welfare matters. Yes, we need to manage the squad across multiple competitions. But when you make changes and then have to bring half your first team on anyway because things aren't going to plan, have you really achieved what you set out to do? Lavia lasted 6 minutes before injury struck again. Suddenly, Caicedo's playing the full match anyway. Garnacho, Fernandez, and Delap all get significant minutes. So what exactly did we rest? The ESPN pundits had it spot on when they said it felt like the fringe players didn't quite grasp the importance of this match. There's a danger, isn't there, when you're playing a team from Azerbaijan that you've beaten 4-0 before, that you think just turning up will be enough. But Qarabag have been brilliant in this competition. Ask Athletic Bilbao, who they pushed all the way. This is a side that's creating genuine chances, playing with confidence, and making life difficult for everyone they face. What's particularly concerning is that Chelsea now have just 7 points from 4 Champions League matches. With 1 defeat already in the competition, there's precious little margin for error if we want to finish in the top 8 and avoid that playoff round in February. Direct qualification to the last 16 is what we're after, and dropping points to teams we should be beating, even with rotation, makes that path significantly harder. Tariq George up front worked hard, but never really looked like troubling their defence consistently. It's a reminder that whilst the lad's got potential, he's not quite ready to lead the line in European competition just yet. The contrast when Delap came on was noticeable. Suddenly we had a proper focal point, someone who could hold the ball up and bring others into play. These are the sorts of lessons you learn when rotating heavily, but they're lessons that cost you points. Look, there's no point dwelling on what's done. Hato will learn from this experience. He's only 19, he's just moved to a new country, a new league, and last night was probably the toughest 90 minutes of his young career, but he'll come back stronger. That's what top players do, and Chelsea clearly believe he's got the talent to become a top player. The key now is how the coaching staff, how his teammates, and how we as supporters respond. He needs our backing, not our criticism, because writing off teenagers after one bad performance is how you destroy careers, not build them. For Maresca, there are bigger questions to answer. How do you balance rotation with performance? How do you keep fringe players sharp when they're only getting occasional minutes? And crucially, how do you ensure that when you do rotate, the standards don't drop? Because last night, for large periods, the standards absolutely dropped. We looked second best to a team that, with respect, we should be comfortably beating even with a rotated side. The positive is that we showed character to fight back twice. Going behind after taking the lead could have spelled disaster, but Garnacho's equaliser at least salvaged a point. And in the grand scheme of the Champions League campaign, a point in Azerbaijan might prove valuable come January when we're totting up where we've finished. But it feels like an opportunity missed, doesn't it? An opportunity to put this competition to bed early, to build momentum, to give confidence to the players who need it most. What's particularly frustrating is the timing. We're about to enter an international break, which means we'll have 2 weeks to stew on this result, rather than having the chance to put it right immediately. The lads dispersing to their national teams means Maresca can't work with them on the training ground to address what went wrong. That point lost in Baku might gnaw away at us for a fortnight before we get another chance to make things right. The injury to Lavia is another massive concern. The Belgian midfielder has been desperately unlucky since joining Chelsea, and 6 minutes into what was meant to be a gentle run-out in Azerbaijan, he's pulled up with what looked like another muscle problem. It's heartbreaking for the player and frustrating for the manager, who now faces the international break, not knowing if he'll have Lavia available when domestic football returns. Squad depth is one thing, but when your depth options keep getting injured, it puts impossible pressure on your first-choice players. So where does this leave us? 7 points from 4 Champions League matches isn't disastrous, but it's not commanding either. We're in the mix, we're competitive, but we've made life harder for ourselves than it needed to be. The remaining fixtures will be crucial, and Maresca will know that rotation might have to take a back seat to results. Because ultimately, nobody remembers that you rested players if you don't qualify for the knockouts. The good news is, we've got quality throughout this squad. When Palmer's fit, when our first-choice back four plays together, when Caicedo and Fernandes are both starting in midfield, we look like a team that can compete with anyone. But last night reminded us that depth and quality aren't always the same thing, and that sometimes trying to be too clever with rotation can backfire spectacularly. For Hato, this is a defining moment in his Chelsea career. He can either let this game haunt him, let the mistakes erode his confidence, or he can use it as motivation to prove exactly why Chelsea paid big money to bring him from Ajax. The best players respond to adversity, and we'll find out over the coming months what sort of player young Jorrel is going to become. Right then, Blues fans, that's where we're at. A frustrating night in Baku, 2 points dropped against a team we should be beating, and questions for Maresca about squad rotation and team selection. But it's one match, it's 1 point, and there's still plenty of football left to play in this Champions League campaign. Let us know in the comments what you made of the performance, whether you think Maresca got his team selection wrong, and how you'd approach the remaining fixtures. And if you've watched this far without subscribing, come on, hit that button and join the community. Up the Chels!